Welcome to Soapy. I'm Rebecca Budig.
And I'm Greg Rikaart. And on today's show, one of my favorite people.
No, he's my favorite person.
No, he's one of my favorite people.
No, he's mine.
Okay, fine. How about
I win. He belongs to me.
You can have him, but let's just admit that we both love him.
Okay. You probably want to know who we're talking about. John McCook, who has played Eric Forrester on The Bold and the Beautiful since 1987. He won, there he is, with his Emmy Award in 2022 for lead actor in a drama series after 4 nominations. And I want to tell you something about him. Okay? He is the nicest man.
I know.
Aside from like maybe Henry Winkler that I met, he is one of the nicest men in Hollywood. When I started on The Bold and the Beautiful, I have it. I brought my phone. I know it's pretty bright. But I have the first text that I got when I booked The Bold and the Beautiful. Rebecca, this is John McCook, the old guy on B&B. I don't see him as old. I want to welcome you to our show and assure you that you'll love it there. Best show in all of LA to work on. I won't be in until after you've shot your first days, but when we meet, you can tell me all about it. Torsten K's great fun. Don't tell him I said that. And Taylor has needed a wonderful player for years. Enjoy. See you soon. John McCook.
My gosh.
Is that the nicest text ever?
Oh, what a mensch. Not
Talk
just a
about
mensch.
being welcoming.
I know. But he's not just a mensch. He's an incredible family man. He has an illustrious career that I cannot wait to talk to him about. And we will be right back with Mr. John McCook.
You're here.
I'm here.
Welcome, John.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
We're happy to have you.
That was good. I got to go.
John.
What?
I was telling Greg earlier that it's really intimidating to come to a show that's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And you're kind of the newbie. And I get this amazing text from you welcoming me to the show. You weren't going to be there for my first few days. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me.
Good.
And
I'm glad.
how sweet.
I'm glad. You're right. When you spend so many years doing the same thing on a show and it's established, you're right. And there's an almost exclusive wall around it. It seems like when you're coming in. So it is intimidating. I've done there though. I've been there with episodic TV in the '80s and going to doing comedy shows and doing the episodic things where you're the actor for the week that's coming in.
You're the guest.
And some shows are really welcoming, but most of them are not. They're not rude, but they're not like encouraging. And you go, how much fun is this not going to be?
Oh my God.
So it's really important
too.
to me to say, come on, it's going to be cool. Don't worry about it. Is that what you're going to wear? And tease people so that they go, oh, this is fun.
Make them feel
Do
comfortable.
you do that to everyone that comes on the show?
Almost, yeah.
I'm not special then.
No, you're not. Except for the way you dress. She has holes in her pants. There's holes like this.
I'm glad you brought it up, John, because where do you think Rebecca is headed to after this interview? My guess was an Avenue Q audition.
Avenue Q or Sesame Street, right? Yeah. A Muppet.
Can I keep doing this? Because it's so soft. I see why you're wearing it.
But Muppets, they all need something. They need a hand up their back.
And you were never on the Muppets. It seems like you were on everything else but the Muppets.
I was not on the Muppets.
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
California.
Ventura, California, right up the coast
raised
here.
in California.
Yeah.
And then you started doing theater.
Well, yeah. My background is piano, so I took piano lessons from the time I was like 6 because my sisters were older. My sisters were like in high school when I was like 6, and they had to take piano lessons. And so when they were practicing, I had to be quiet. And I would go, okay, and they would practice. And then when they were done, I would sit down and try to play, and they would vacuum. And I go, what the hell is that? So my mom said, if you want them to be quiet, you have to take lessons too. And I said, sold. So I started taking piano lessons and studied piano until I was 19.
Wow.
When I was 17, 18, 19 years old, I was a really good piano player.
You still are.
I am still, but not like that. I was much more skilled.
For those who don't know, we used to shoot The Bold and the Beautiful at CBS Television City here in Hollywood. And there was a piano there. And I don't know why we had a piano out in the hallway, but I guess it was a prop. Maybe
they store it there. Yeah,
they store it there.
There's a piano in the Eric Forrester living room. We have a piano, but we don't have it there all the time.
And so occasionally you would just get there to work and you'd hear someone playing the piano and you'd look over and there's John McCook playing the piano.
Yeah. There's an old Steinway, which is covered up nicely, but it's an old time way down the hall. And it was like here when it was at Television City when like Judy Garland was there and Red Skelton and that piano is. I love that piano.
Okay, so you're a piano player, and then does that sort of introduce musical theater to you?
It kind of did. I because I played piano and music was in, so I was singing in the choir at church and blah, 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 as a young kid. And I used to have, my mom would bring me down from Ventura up the coast to shop in L.A. And she would drag me.
You look so excited about that.
And it wasn't like Beverly Hills, or the Valley. It was downtown L.A. because nothing else, the big stores were down in Pershing Square. And so she would plug me into the where they sold records, and you could sample the records in a little booth to see if you wanted to buy them or not. And she would put me there and go shopping. And so I would listen to shows, musical shows and stuff, not in rock and roll and stuff, but musicals. I don't know why, but I loved that. So one Saturday we were shopping, and she said, no, we're going next door. And she took me to the old Philharmonic Theater downtown. It was huge. And it was where the orchestras played and all the touring shows came through, and opera and ballet. And Peter Pan was playing there with Mary Martin and Cyril Richard. And that's the first time I ever saw a musical, a staged musical, and it was Peter Pan.
And there were kids.
And I decided then that when I grew up, I would either be Mary Martin or Cyril Richard. I still haven't decided.
Well,
yeah.
Oh,
wow,
John,
that
you're
did
the
not take long at all.
sweetest.
You may have broken a record.
Never give me a handkerchief.
Oh. You're
Anyway.
very funny, and I know that we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because you did the little comedy in Vegas a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you ended up in New York, in West Side Story.
Yeah, I just saw musical theater, blah, blah, blah. In the chorus of musical theater, they got my equity card in the chorus. I went to Long Beach State down here, and then I worked at Disneyland for,
Oh, that's right.
6 months doing the Jungle Cruise, shooting
That's
puppets.
right. We talked about that
puppets,
once.
shooting the hippos, and that was fun. And then and I auditioned, got in the chorus of a musical theater in the Round down in San Diego.
Did you have an interaction with Walt Disney? Am I wrong?
I did, yeah.
You told me this story, I think.
Yeah,
He
doing
would
the
go
Jungle
and
Cruise.
ride-
Oh man, if you're going to do the Jungle Cruise, and you're the new guy, you learn the dialogue. You have to learn it.
Do you remember it?
No, no.
Okay.
I barely remembered it when I did it then. No, but I was doing it, and I practiced, and the manager of the thing, he said, "You're about ready," because I had to go out with him and audition for him. No audience, nobody in the boats. And then he said, "You're ready. You can start next week." And I said, "Okay." So next week, he puts me on a boat, and I start going. And you load people on the boat, you do it, you shoot the things, and you come back, and you help people out of the boat. And he said, "Okay, you're doing it now." He said, "Mr. Disney will come and see you." And you're going to go. And I said, wait, what? Mr. Disney? He said, "Yeah. Mr. Disney loves this ride, and when a new guy starts doing it, he comes and listens to you, because he loves doing it." And I said, "Is he judging?" And he said, "No, he's not judging. He never fires anybody. He just wants to see it." I said, "Okay." And I said, "Don't tell me when he's there." So I had been doing it for a week or so, and I was unloading people from one of the rides, and helped this old guy up out of this adult person. He wasn't that old, but an adult person out of the boat. And he said, "Nice job, son. Nice job." And I went, "Ah," and he was gone.
Wow.
But he was on the ride, and he saw me do it, and he said, "Nice job, son." So I thought, okay, I'm cool. When I got to New York, they were auditioning for West Side Story, a revival at City Center. And I auditioned. The very first day I got there, I did an audition. So the West Side Story I auditioned for was a large company. And so Actors Equity required that there be 2 understudies for all the leads instead of just one. They already had one. So they gave me the second understudy. And they paid me an extra $11 a week, I think it was. And so we got open. I knew the show really well because I had done it in Ventura, at my high school year. So, and I was singing. I was able to sing it. I was a good singer all my career until about, I don't know, till last night. So I got to do that, and I got to do that show, and Warner Brothers saw me, and they put me under contract and sent me back to Burbank. So I I went to New York to be a musical theater guy, and then I was back in Burbank in about 8 weeks. And,
Also, what's bonkers is that was your first. You got to New York, landed that job on your first audition.
Landed the job, and the first day I was there, I came in on a bus from North Carolina visiting my sister, and my mother made me go visit my sister in North Carolina while I'm going to New York. Does that make any sense? No. So I took the bus from Winston-Salem all the way up the coast up to New York City, and I arrived at Port Authority, Midtown, and my friend from Vegas met me, and he said, "You have an audition at 10:30. I said, "What?" It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I've been on a bus all night. And I went in and auditioned for West Side Story. I sang, and they said, "Good, go to rehearsals." Are at. They gave me the address, and rehearsals were going on already. This is great. And I went to this rehearsal building, and I'm this kid from Ventura, and I don't know where I am. And I go down the hall, and there's piano players and clarinet players and violinists and singers in all these little places go down the hall, and at the end of the hall, it terminates at a balcony and opens up to a big mirrored rehearsal hall at the end, the one big rehearsal room in that building. And there's an old lady playing West Side Story. She was the rehearsal pianist, fantastic. And they're doing the dance at the gym, and they're doing the number. The dancers are all there, and I'm going, "I know the show. I can do this." And they signed me up, and they said, "Fine, there you go." And there I am. So
that's wild.
I joined those rehearsals, and we opened in about a week, and I played the show, and within
you said 8 weeks.
Within like before 3 months, I was back in Burbank.
Because Jack Warner was in the audience, saw you, and said,
"No," but somebody from Warner Brothers was there. You know, when you're in a show like that, in New York in those days, if you're in a show, you write to everybody, and I wrote to people from Paramount and from Columbia and Warner Brothers and Universal, and "Come see me in West Side," And somebody called and said, "We're auditioning people. We're looking for an Ensign Pulver for the TV version of Mr. Robert." It doesn't matter. And I read for him, and he said, "Great, we're going to sign you to a contract." They sent me back to LA, and so now I'm driving into the gates at Warner Brothers in 1964.
So then where does the Army come in?
Huh?
Where does the Army come in? Because you were in the Army for 2 years, yes?
Yeah, well, the Army came when they wanted to come. They came in 66 and drafted me. I got drafted in 66 to go to the Army.
But so that's during this, before the Army, 64, you're driving onto Warner Brothers. That's still during like the studio system days, right? Where you're on contract, and then they basically say, "We're going to put you wherever we want you."
Yeah, they were, and Warner Brothers didn't have even then they didn't have as much TV as they had before. They had all the westerns and stuff, They had a few things, and that's what I was doing. One of the few things they did. I did that for a while, and then they after 2 years, Warner's decided not to have a contract system anymore. Oh. So I was the last actor signed to a contract by Jack Warner, which is pretty cool. Right? And then they eliminated the contract system, not because of me, but because
we don't know that.
I don't know.
We're not for sure.
I've never actually confirmed that, but I think I don't think it. Anyway, I went right to Universal. I went under contract to Universal. Now they did have lots of TV shows, and you do everything that they told you to do. Then I got drafted. Boom, 66, and I went to the U.S. Army and basic training and all that stuff, and advanced infantry training. And then radio school. It put me in radio school up at Fort Ord, up by Monterey. And I was doing that, and I went, this is, did that, and listening to all that, and radio.
Morse code and all?
And because I was a musician, the Morse code test that give you, I could recognize, rhythms in a way that some people might not have. Anyway, that qualified me to be a radio guy. Cool. And so I'm doing that, and every 2 weeks, they were graduating a new class of radio operators, and they were all going to Vietnam. This was 1966, and that war was getting really bad. It was heating up. Yeah. And I went, oh, man. So I went to the 28th Army Band at Fort Ord, and I knocked on the door, and I saw the commanding officer. I said, "Sir." He says, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you need a piano player, sir?" And he says, "Yeah, we do. You play?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You play Mozart?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Come here." and he put me at the piano, he put a French horn concerto in front of me, and I played it. He was like, good. And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in radio school. He says, no, you're not. And he changed my MOS, my job description, on the spot right now. It took him about 90 minutes to change my MOS from radio operator to piano player. And you wouldn't think the Army would have an MOS for a piano player, but they do, because there's bands everywhere. So then I played piano in the Army for 2 years. We did theater, and I had a choir of guys that I conducted because I could.
Wow. Kind of might have saved your life.
I'm pretty sure. And I called my mom. I said, thank you, Mom, for my piano lessons.
Well, I'm sure she was thankful, too.
Sure. So there was that. And then when I got out of the Army, Universal gave me my job back, and then they dropped me because nobody who had signed to me was there anymore. So then I'm back in theater, and doing, so that's those years. And that's like 68.
Okay, so then you're
No, I'm back in Hollywood.
Yeah, but so you're doing the working actor grind of auditioning and waiting.
Yeah, and musical theater was my fallback, and it's more than that. God knows, it was a huge part of my career from then on. Because when I wasn't getting auditions or getting commercials and stuff, I was calling around, going out and doing shows all over the country.
Yeah.
No more New York, but Atlanta and St. Louis and Kansas City and Indianapolis and all those places for years and years.
I don't know where this fits in because you and I spoke the other day, and I don't even know how it came up, but you were married before. You were married to a beautiful Lorette now, but you were married once before to Juliette Prowse, who starred in GI Blues with Elvis. She's performing in Vegas, and you became like her comedy act or something. But you got to meet Vegas. I mean Vegas.
I got to meet Vegas. I got to meet Elvis Presley. Yes.
You got to meet Elvis, which is kind of
I
cool.
know, I did. From the musical theater, one of the shows I did was Mame, and I did it with a lot of different ladies, but I did it with Juliette Prowse in Vegas.
Yes.
And I met Juliette then, and she's a dancer and a wonderful musical theater lady. She was, and so she knew me. She and they were putting together an act for her to headline in Vegas at the Desert Inn Hotel. And they wanted dancers and singers and stuff, but they wanted someone to do comedy blackouts with her and to sing with her. I said, I'll do that. So, and they knew I could, so they hired me to do that. And that started. So then I was in that nightclub act with her for many years. Wow. I was married to Juliette for 7 years, and I did that club act with her for 5.
Wow.
And then when we weren't playing Vegas, and then we got married, we got married.
We got married. We had a kid together. Whatever.
But once we weren't doing Vegas, we were doing Vegas 4 times a year, a month at a time. The rest of the time, we would book ourselves out in theater, and she was Sweet Charity. She did Sweet Charity in London for Bob Fosse. So we would go out and do that show. So we'd do Sweet Charity on the road, and then come in and do Vegas again, and then go out on the road and so on. Okay, so we're doing the show. Elvis Presley signs to work at the International, the Hilton, the new hotel, and Juliette had done a movie with Elvis years before called
GI Blues.
GI Blues, thank you. And so he knew her. So he comes to town, he's rehearsing, and he calls and says, I want to come see your show. And I said, okay. So one night he came to see us, and he came backstage after. He met all the dancers and me, and he loved what I did because my stuff was stupid. They were funny, corny blackouts, and he said, I love that stuff, man. I think that's so funny. And he was very respectful of Juliette and of the women who were in the show and all the dancers, even the gay dancers, he wasn't intimidated by any of that stuff. Wow. It was still in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And so he about 2 years later, he came back to see the show again. He said, are you still doing that funny stuff? I said, yeah, come on. But we got to go went to a couple of parties that he gave when he was headlining there, and they had a boat. The Hilton had a big boat out on Lake Mead, and he had parties out on that boat once in a while, not often, but we went through all that. Yeah, met Elvis. That's cool.
Did you ever go to see his show?
Yeah, sure. And he was still healthy and wonderful. After it wasn't long before he stopped coming around, and we just noticed that he wasn't coming around. But then we started to see pictures of him, and he'd gotten so big, and he was dying. He was on the road to the end of his life. Mm-hmm. So that was.
That's a tough amount of fame to sustain.
I know, and it was a very isolated stardom. It's like Michael Jackson. These people, you get so big, and your world gets smaller and smaller, and all you do is your work, and then you go home, and there's nobody there.
And you're surrounded by people saying yes to you and giving you things that you want, even if they're bad for you.
Yeah. And so there's booze and there's drugs and there's not a relationship maybe, and so you're alone. It's hard.
Yeah. That's
hard. I mean, we are all so lucky that we aren't that famous. It's I can't give the blessing of my life enough credit for being healthy and being okay. And that's Lorette. That's being married to the same lady now. Lorette and I are married for 45 years, and so that's my blessing.
You're such a family man.
Yeah.
You have a really nice family. I mean, you're speaking of Lorette. I guess I'll bring this up now because, there's just so much to talk about with you. John, Lorette, you share a son that suffers with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And Lorette and
Jake
wrote this book. It's called The Cliffs of Schizophrenia. I've read it. It is such a good book. They both it's almost like a journal, right? They both share their
they decided
experience.
to do it. They wanted to do it together because Jake has schizophrenia, and they wanted to talk about that journey. But then they decided to alternate chapters. And so he writes a chapter, and then she responds to it.
But
and
I
vice
love
versa.
that you get both perspectives of the same time, from his eyes and then from hers. It's really wonderful.
It really does give you insight into mental health, how challenging that is as parents to have a child with mental health.
Yeah.
And you are working this whole time. And I
Yeah,
can
thank
imagine
God.
the stress. Thank God.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the show as well. But what was that like having a child that was struggling so much while you were working?
Well, while I was going to work was my blessing. Whatever was going on at home, even if it was really awful, which it was not often. I don't want to imply that it was ever awful at home. No.
It's just stressful. You're worried about your
child. It's really hard,
Yeah.
And then I got to go to work and have fun and fool around, and really enjoy
what we get to
enjoy.
do. Mm-hmm.
And there we come home, and Lorette was there the whole time, and still is. And so she's the champion. She's the one who's had to bring this into a place where we can all live with it, And
I really admire her.
Yeah,
You read this
me
book
too.
and you just say, wow, this is a woman who loves her child, who wants the best for her child and her family.
Yeah.
And what a lucky boy.
He
Well,
is.
he's a man.
We're so, that's why we say we're so blessed, even having a schizophrenic adult son living at home, and I go, yeah, because we can be there together. Mm-hmm.
Does the first of all, you touched on this, just saying that you are very fortunate in that you have resources available to you, and Lorette and Jake to help navigate this process. Has it gotten easier to navigate? And for people that are not as fortunate, what are some tools that you have employed that can help other people?
Well, when that's like 16 questions.
I'm sorry.
I know. I was going to say, I don't
When,
like
Clock is ticking. I need all
you'll be
16
cool.
answers.
You'll go to New York.
We'll be
you'll
here
get better.
tomorrow,
You'll
don't
come
worry.
back. It'll be great. What learning? The learning curve is steep, and especially when it presents later. When you see it evolve, it's a schizophrenia. It's not the worst kind of schizophrenia, which can be very dangerous and threatening and
violent.
scary. Jake's schizophrenia is mostly about insecurity and phobia and thinking that he's not hearing voices. It's not like, Ed Sullivan says, okay, and now you go out there and sing. It's not like that. But he thinks that if we're somewhere, he thinks that the guy over there on the behind the camera probably knows something about him that he's not saying to anybody. And then you guys know that too, don't you? Or do you? And my son is 44, and he's an adult, strapping, smart, together guy. But he will come at the end of the day and he'll say, he's going to go to bed and he'll say, am I safe? Am I safe? And you go, what? Are you safe? What do you mean? No, is something bad going to happen tonight? And to have an adult person look at you and ask you that is alarming when it first starts happening. Now we know, yes, you're safe. We're going to be great. We'll see you in the morning. It's going to be fun. And all he needs is that assurance. But the idea that there's stuff going on out there that's threatening to you is a terrible place to have in your head, in your own head. And these are things that we've had to learn. We had to go to NAMI. That's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. It's not a clearinghouse. It's a place for information for people who are discovering that they have this in their lives or discovering that it's happening to them, and they're able to talk to you about what do you need to know, and they have lots of information for you, places to go. Places where you can go if you're a student.
And she provides a lot of information in here too.
Yeah, she does. I think, when they wrote that, I said, I hope it sells a lot. I hope it does too. But what I want it to be is like a reference book. I want somebody.
It felt like that, and she had insight into the mental health community and what it does right and what it does wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think it's come a long way. Obviously, now people talk about it way more openly.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
pandemic.
And there's just so much more information.
Oh, yeah.
I think the pandemic really did shift.
I just want to say the title again, so that for people who are listening, they can find the book. The Cliffs of Schizophrenia: A Mother and Son Perspective by Jake and Laurette McCook.
Yeah, it's cool.
And there she does say that your work was really great, really supportive. Your work being The Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you were on The Young and the Restless as well.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
But you have been on The Bold and the Beautiful since day one.
Since
1987, right?
From 1987. Yes, yeah, right. Oh my God. I'm back in like 64 going, what the hell happened here?
I know we skipped. We're going to go back because you've been on it. You've guest starred on a lot of shows. I want to ask you about a few of them. But anyway.
But Television City in Hollywood, this is cool.
You were there before,
Television
right?
City in Hollywood, man. And I can hear that from Television City in Hollywood. It's the
Price is Right.
The Carol Burnett show. The Price is Right.
Yeah.
It's the Judy Garland show, And the first time I was in Television City, I had been in Vegas and stuff. That was my background in theater and all that. A guy was producing Telly Savalas' nightclub act. Telly Savalas had Kojak on CBS.
I remember that.
And he wanted to play Vegas. And you go, yeah? Can you sing? No. Can you dance? No. Can you tell joy? No.
He sounds like
you
me.
You say, well, you're a real triple threat, aren't you?
I'm barely a single threat is what I like to say. Can kind of act.
Yeah. But he wanted to play Vegas. He wanted to wear a tuxedo and have dancing girls around him and have a cigarette and look cool. So Vegas bought it. So a friend of mine was producing the show for him, 4 girl dancers and him. And my friend was a piano player, but he didn't want to produce the show and play piano for rehearsals because he couldn't produce. So he hired me as the rehearsal pianist for Telly Savalas' nightclub act. And where was he rehearsing? At Television City in Hollywood, because he was a CBS show. So the first time I was there, I'm going up and I find the rehearsal halls and I go up there and I'm playing piano for him at night and rehearse. So now I know TV City did that, conducted that show. That was fine. So I don't know how soon it was, maybe within a year or two, I got the job on The Young and the Restless, and it was half an hour, so we used to rehearse the day before. It was live on tape, so we would rehearse upstairs, and during the day. And I had only been upstairs in those rehearsal halls at night for Telly Savalas, but now I'm going in during the day, and the rehearsal halls are all full. And you look through the window, and there's a piano player and a drummer, and 8 dancers. And Carol Burnett, Wow. And then you go to the next window and you look in there, and it's a drummer and a piano player and another 6 or 8 dancers, and it's Sonny and Cher. Wow. And you go to the next thing, and it's Tony, Orlando, and Don. Yeah. And I go, what? And I thought, I'm going to be doing a soap. They're all going to be so boring and serious, and they were. But in the hall on a break, I come out. And the dancers and everybody's there, and they go, what are you doing here? Because I knew half of them. So what are you doing? I said, I'm doing a soap. And they go, stop, you are? Yeah. Leave me alone now. I'm getting a soap now. So I thought, okay, this is good. It mixes up together. It's a mixture. It's not just some soap opera in a box somewhere. And I started to learn, this other part of it. That was pretty cool. So, Young and Restless, and then after I left, and after it went to an hour, I left Y&R because I wasn't obligated to stay. You signed a contract on a half-hour soap opera then, and there was no thing that said, if it goes to an hour, you have to stay. And I was free to go, and I had been there long enough to want to get out there and get out and be auditioning for things again. And Loretta and I had just gotten married, so I had been on Y&R. She had been doing Battlestar Galactica on ABC for a year or so, and we got married. I left the show, and I did 7 years of episodic TV and theater like crazy, and we started our family, and then Bold and Beautiful called, and Bill Bell called and said, I'm doing this new show. Or I heard, and it's called Bold and Beautiful. I thought that was the worst title I had ever heard in my life. What? And I said, no, I don't want to do it. And they called my agent again and said, would he come? And I said, no, I've done a soap. And finally they said, Bill Bell is dying. Please take the meeting with Bill Bell. I went in, and he said, well, I thought you would look a lot older. And I want to go, well, if you want an old actor, call him.
Yeah.
I said, no, I want you. He said, if I can have you and Susan Flannery to play the matriarch and patriarch of this family, then I really know I'm on a roll, And he explained it to me that it was about the fashion industry and all that. And I thought, okay, what the hell? And I went to Lorette and Capital, soap opera called Capital.
Yes, I remember Capital.
It had been on CBS.
Yeah.
And it had just been canceled after 5 years, And this was the slot we were going to go into. And I came home to Lorette, and I went, I don't know. And she's, soap I was going. And she goes, are you nuts? If it fails, it'll run for 5 years.
I read that quote. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Even if it's a failure, it'll be a job for 5 years.
It's a 5-year job. We got 2 kids at home, right?
Yeah.
And I took the job gladly. No, I don't mean to mean I didn't want to do it.
Sure.
I gladly
when
went
you sign
into
on,
it,
you don't.
Okay, here we go.
It's like buying a house. It's like buyer's remorse. You're like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, is this
it
right?
the right place?
Also, it sounds like the time in between, so we don't gloss over it, the time in between Young and Restless and Bold and Beautiful, you were a very busy man. This is not a full list, but we've got Chips, The Love Boat, Three's Company, Murder, She Wrote, and the real reason we brought you here today to talk about moonlighting.
Okay, just because you're a super fan of moonlighting.
Do you remember? Yes, my Sybil Shepherd fandom runs deep. Everyone who knows me knows this. Do you remember? I'll jog your memory in case you don't. When we celebrated a really lovely birthday for Peter Bergman at Republique.
Yes, yeah.
And I
don't like Peter very much, but anyway.
Terrible man. But I had the very good fortune of sitting next to you and Laurette, and I shared with you my moonlighting fandom and knew that you had been in the Blonde on Blown episode. I think it's season 2, possibly season 3.
Wow.
And you then sent me a 7-cent residual that you had gotten from moonlighting.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you cash that?
I did. No, I did. I think it was just the check stub, but you must have cashed the check.
Yeah.
Cash that 7 cents.
Yeah.
But I want to hear a little bit about those times. Start with moonlighting, and we'll see if we get to that.
Well, I want to talk about Three's Company.
I want to talk about moonlighting. Do you remember much?
Yeah, that was a big show right then,
Yeah.
man. Oh my God! And the fun of it was that
I'll remind
I
you
went
if you don't
there and
remember.
they both had, where were they shooting? It was at Fox, I think, at the studio. Doesn't matter. And they had huge trailers. You know, these no, dressing room? No. Big, luxurious trailers. She had a great trailer. And he had one that was a little smaller. I don't think he was happy about that.
Well, she was the star.
She was the star. And my scene was, there was a guy, you know, kind of a dick, you know, kind of a womanizer guy, comes up to her at a
Yes,
bar.
at a bar.
Talks to her, and
She's into you for a second until...
yeah, I don't remember. Did he come up to us?
No, she sees...
She turns me off. And
She sees that you're wearing a wedding ring.
Oh, she's, okay, well, that proves that I was an asshole, doesn't it? and so I did that scene with her, and Bruce Willis is not in the scene, but he's there for the day, and he's sitting over there talking to some extras in the scene because he's going to work in a minute. And I didn't get to meet him, but I did with her, and she was gracious and fun and doing the scene, and then it's done because now I'm working with that actor, and now it's, you know. So I was done, and I go, and they're moving on, and I go, okay, that was great, and I'm done for the day. I said, well, that was fun, right? Yeah, okay. And I stood up and to go out, and Willis came up to me and says, good job, man. I said, thank you. So that was cool.
Nice.
That's a great
Yeah,
story.
it made me feel good.
What was
Yeah.
the set like at Three's Company?
Three's Company was hilarious because we knew, well, you know, that was silly.
But didn't you
That's
also-
just silly.
Didn't you play 2 different characters on that show?
Yeah, I did 2 or 3 episodes of that show. Different guys each time. They didn't care. Different guys. And in fact, the last one I did, this is cool. The last time I was with Three's Company was an episode that shot at Television City. They shot there the last year or so of their production. I don't know why, but they shot on stage 31 on the Bold and Beautiful stage. And the dressing room that Lorette had was my dressing room, 31K. It's cool.
Wait,
That doesn't
Lorette?
matter. You guys don't care about
Lorette
that.
had?
Lorette was on the show. She got to
she
do
was?
an episode of Three's Company, playing a ski bunny, and she
my
was nervous about
goodness.
it. And I was there with her on the tape day. And so her dressing room was 31K.
Your dressing
And
room.
when I came back to do what's this show? Bold and Beautiful.
Yeah.
I know this room.
I know the space.
Cool.
Didn't Flannery
great.
give you that room, Susan Flannery?
We had a choice when we began on that downstairs, and there was the little room where Torsten is,
Yes.
and the big room.
Yes.
And they said, "Which one do you want? You guys get to have these 2." And they said to her, and I said, "You choose." And she said, "I want the little one. You know, I don't want all that shit. You know." So I
Tell us-
said, "Great."
Tell
Was
us
that
what
the
it was
beginning-
like. What?
Was that the beginning of your relationship with Susan, or did you know her before?
I had worked with her once before doing a Harper Valley PTA, you know, all these different shows. No, I didn't work with her. Her friend at the time, what's her name? Fried Green Tomatoes.
Kathy
Come on,
Bates?
you can do this. What?
Kathy Bates?
No. The movie Fried Green Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Oh, who wrote Fried Green
I think our producer's
Who
looking it
wrote
up
that
right
movie?
now.
We're on it.
Who wrote
TikTok,
that?
We're on it.
Isaac.
Who wrote
For $500 and you go to the next plateau. She's funny. She's a funny actress. And she was
An actress wrote, was
Yeah.
a writer actor?
Yeah.
Fanny Flag?
Fanny Flagg. There you are. Thank you.
Well done.
Fanny
She
Flagg
an
was friends with
actress,
Susan Flannery.
and she was and they were good friends, closer than that. And Fanny was on Harper Valley PTA, and I was working on it. And it was lunch one day, and the star of Towering Inferno and Days of Our Lives, Susan Flannery, came to have lunch with her, and I met her there. So a year later or 2. I said, we had lunch together. And she goes, we did. You know, and
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Tell us what it was
And,
like. For those that don't know Susan Flannery, I mean, she was a powerhouse of an actress.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just incredible. She's a friend of mine, and I'm just so sad that I come to the show and I don't get to work with her. But
Oh, man.
what was it like to work
Well,
with Susan
Susan
Flannery?
is a powerhouse. She's a wonderful woman.
Mm-hmm.
But as an actress, she's very opinionated, and her opinions are very valuable because she knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about her was that we were playing an old husband and wife. We're playing the matriarch and patriarch of this show, and the show is about us, but it's about all these other characters too. And we were sitting with martinis in the scene, talking about, is Ridge going to get laid this weekend? You know, why are we doing this? And And we would rehearse it, and she would say, "Where's the conflict?" And she's right. As an actor on a soap opera, if you're talking about the color of the drapes, and if you're talking about other characters, then you go, okay, that's a feeder scene. It's not about me. It's not about our relationship. It's not about what's going on in our life. And it's boring. It's boring. And she would say, "Where's the conflict in the scene? Why are we doing this?" She didn't complain, she didn't say to the writers, "Where's the conflict?" She said it to me, because we're having to do with it. We have to do this. And we would make things up. I would say, I'm going to play like I have to pee really bad. Okay, there's my conflict. She says, "Good. Better than nothing."
Yeah.
And now we can play the scene, and there's something going on that wasn't going on before. And I slapped the table. I didn't mean to do that audio, but the fact is, she would create that kind of annoyance all the time to break through the soap opera thing. What are we doing here? Yeah. What are we doing? It's one of the reasons I love working with Torsten Kay.
Oh, when you said that she gives a note, or she talks about something, and you really listen because you respect her. Yeah. Well, Torsten does the same thing, and I love working with him.
Why are we doing this? Where's our relationship here?
Yeah.
Let's find a way to touch one another emotionally. Something,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a soap opera.
I love that there's a big difference between the actors that we work with who just want to run lines and make sure that we're prepared and we go out there and we can do a good job, versus the actors like Susan, like Torsten, like both of you guys. Michelle Stafford. I get to work with Emily O'Brien on Days of Our Lives, and that is a great thing where we'll look at the scene and we'll say how and where can we make this pop?
Yeah,
and it's that same thing, whether it's conflict or just putting in a bit that's not there or backstory, and it's those little things where even if it's a secret between the two of you, that plays.
Yeah.
All of that plays on camera.
It reads for something. Yeah. We don't have to know what it is.
Yeah.
It's something there.
Yeah. And it makes the audience want to know what it is and want to watch more.
Yeah.
I have to say, I love that we never really get to work together that often, but we had scenes together, I don't know, relatively recently.
Yeah.
And you just still have a desire to have good scenes, and it's just fun.
It is fun. If it's not
fun.
I was doing Oklahoma one year in summer stock in St. Louis. You don't want to do that. It's outdoors and it's humid, and you're in the last rehearsal. You're going to open tomorrow night, and we're outdoors in a pavilion which has no walls. Pavilions don't have walls, so it's hot. And the supporting role of Allie Hackham was a funny little character in the show Oklahoma. I'm playing the lead. I'm playing Curly, and we're rehearsing, and he's going, and Stubby K, the actor is Stubby K. He was a funny comedic actor, and he was short. That's why I call him Stubby. And he was playing Allie Hackham. And so now we're rehearsing the show, and we're going to open tomorrow night. And he comes up to me and he goes, "John, they haven't blocked my last scene in this, have you? I haven't even got the blocking for the last scene." I said, "It'll be all right. It's going to be no, it's not. I need to know the blocking stuff." And I got a big show to do, and I'm going, "Yeah, it's okay, Stubby. It's going to be all right." And he goes down, and I said, "Stubby, stop it. Now this is fun, and if it's not fun, it's too hard." He said, "Okay." And he said that to me every time I saw him the rest of his life.
Yeah, Ginny Cooper used to say that all the time.
It's fun.
Doesn't matter how serious the scene is, Ginny Cooper would always say, make sure you're keeping it fun.
Yeah.
Find a way to make it fun.
This is joy, man. Come on.
Right?
This is joy.
And your daughter is in this business, and she's gotten to be on the show.
Yeah, she has.
Molly McCook.
Yeah, Molly's great. Molly was on, she did she did a couple of days on our show. She was happy to do it. Molly's really good. She's taller than everybody. And
a singer also, yeah?
Blonde, a great singer. She and her husband, John, did Hades down on Broadway, and he was just there doing it again, and now they're here doing a show together. They met doing a show together. And Molly was on Last Man Standing for the last couple of seasons, the last 2 or 3 seasons they did. She's great. And she and her, what I love is that they're serious about it. they're not flighty actors going, let's smoke some dope and screw around this weekend. They smoke some dope, but they screw around the weekend. No, they don't. It doesn't matter. But I mean, I like that they're friends. They're like them. They're serious-minded, accomplished, working actors and actresses.
I wonder who she learned that from.
I don't know.
I think you do.
Yeah, I do.
It's great.
She knows. She's been on our set and watched it since. I mean, Jake is he's like 6 years older than Molly. Is that right? I don't know. It doesn't matter. And when she was like this tall, he was making videos in the house.
Oh, yeah.
He still
Really
does.
little.
And he would say, stand there and then be afraid when I open the door. And she'd go, okay. And she would be like 4 years old and he would open the door and she would go, and he said, great. She follows direction really well. And she says now, in auditions, when somebody says, can you tweak it? She goes, yeah. And I've been taking direction since I was a 4-year-old. We have all these videos of them.
Well, that passage in the book where you and Lorette get the phone call at the restaurant that Jake has fallen through the glass.
Yeah.
And you come home and there's blood everywhere because he's fallen through the glass in the bathroom. And the first thing he says is, "I got the shot."
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he broke the window. He broke the door, the glass door of the shower. Fortunately, he didn't bleed out. He cut I don't remember where his arm, but he was cut and bleeding. But it was cool. I got it, man. It was so cool. Yeah.
Talent runs in your family.
It does, yeah.
Because he made movies, but he also is a fabulous artist.
Yeah, he's a wonderful painter. He's studying art. He's not doing that so much right now, but now he's with a group here in Hollywood called Fountain House.
Yeah.
And Fountain House exists in cities all over the country. Originated in New York, and it's for mentally challenged folks, mentally ill people, a community for them. And I mean, you have to. Some of them are living on the street, and none of them live at home with their mom and dad, except Jake. And he gets to have a family, and he goes there and he works with them, and they work together and do stuff together, and he makes movies with them.
Wow.
He's been there about a year now, and he took them. They took these people that go there. These are street people, some of them. And the first movie he made for them was he took the trailer of Jurassic Park, and then he takes the actors out and puts his Fountain House friends in them, and they have to do the line. They have to do it, but they're on the body and in the scene for the green screen and everything of the movie. Huh. Then he shows them this movie, and they all scream because they're in a movie, and they laugh and they have so much fun. And then he did one. He did another one, which was the Spider-Man. And the guy that was Spider-Man, he took the thing out and said, "I'm Spider-Man." The guy's like 85 and he's all scrunchy and weird. And it's hilariously wonderful. And they just love, what's the next movie? And he goes, okay, well, make another one. And he's always working on a movie where he's editing them into any trailer.
That's fantastic.
And they don't show them around the world. They just show them at home, for them.
This is a non sequitur.
Okay.
What did it
You mean
feel
like what you're wearing? You mean like that sweater?
We're going to finish where we started?
What
time is your audition, by the way? We probably have to wrap up soon.
Do you have an audition?
Okay.
You're going to wear that?
Okay. After 4 nominations, you win an Emmy.
Yeah.
In what, 2022?
Yeah,
for lead actor.
Ago, yeah.
What did that mean a lot to you, or do you not give a lot of meaning to awards, or just
No, I get it. To
be recognized.
And I was going to that's just cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was happy to get an Emmy.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm friends with Peter and Peter Bergman. And Peter's been nominated 730 times. When Peter gets another nomination, and if he doesn't win it, you say, "You didn't win," and he goes, "No, isn't." But you have so many. Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, but I've lost 325 of them." That's the fun of it, and being there and then. Meeting and rubbing elbows, at least with friends who are on other shows. We don't know each other well.
Yeah.
These other shows, we're all busy.
I know.
We work so hard. There's not a lot of time to stop and celebrate, and that is my favorite thing about Emmy night is the opportunity to do that.
And we've talked about with this show. It's been so awesome to get to know some of the people that I've known peripherally for years.
And to celebrate what we do and to sort of sit down with you and really let people know you on a deeper level than they already do. And you have been an absolute delight. Will you come back and see us again?
No, I'm never going to do this. Who are these people? I hope you get back from New York.
Oh my God.
That could be the end for you guys,
No,
you know?
New York
John
is just the
McCook.
beginning.
John McCook. He plays Eric Forster on The Bold and the Beautiful. You can see it on CBS weekdays or on Paramount Plus. You can watch it, binge it.
Or you can go see it in Italy. Or
that's
in
right.
Rome,
And you can
that's
watch
right.
and you can
right.
watch those extra scenes that they air only overseas, but you can watch them on the CBS YouTube channel.
What is it like going to Europe? You know, we've talked about how you said it yourself. We're not really big stars here. Some people recognize us from the shows, but then for The Bold, the Beautiful, which is very popular in other countries, like you go to some place like Italy, and you're almost like Elvis.
movie stars over there. Yeah.
What is that like?
Well, that's awful. It's just awful. You know, because we're on it. Like if we go to work there, we shoot there sometimes.
Yes,
you know, we'll go there to shoot, and we're done. We're going to go out to dinner, but we have to get a hotel. We have to get a restaurant because we can't just go somewhere. We have to take over a restaurant because they're peeking in the windows to look at us. You know, it's very strange.
So you get a taste of what it's like to be.
Huh?
You get a taste of what it's like to be a big.
It's pretty cool,
celebrity.
but big imposition, you know, and you go, okay. But we live in L.A., you know, that's the fun of L.A.
Yeah.
Is
No one
that, you know,
cares.
I'll have somebody, my favorite thing is to be like at the market, waiting in the line, and then a woman in front of me will go, I know you. And I go, hi. And she'll go, I can't, why do I know you? I feel like I said, and I go, well, I'm on TV, I'm on Bold and Beautiful. And she goes, no, you're Becky's dad. That's it. So I go, okay. So now I'm the idiot that goes around.
I've run
and says, "I'm on TV."
I've run into you at the grocery store. I know what you're putting in your cart.
Yeah. So right.
Anyway,
All right, where can we watch Bold and Beautiful?
CBS and Paramount Plus, Bold and Beautiful, Eric Forster.
And you can watch Soapy on the CBS YouTube channel. You can listen to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts, and come back and see us again next time.
Yeah.
See ya.